So the Bulls just lost to the New York Knicks. They played them twice and they did pretty well on Monday. They got the win. Lauri Markkanen had a great game. He had 30 and it was just a good team win overall. So it was good to get a win like that against the Knicks because the Bulls and the Knicks are kind of like right there in the conference and they're kind of in the same tier as like a could be playoff team, could be bottom seed in the East kind of situation. So for the Bulls to get that win against the Knicks, it was good to have. But tonight, it just wasn't that. And there are a lot of reasons for why that happened. And I mean, first of all, let's just say this. The game actually did get kind of interesting towards the end. The Bulls actually managed to make a sort of a comeback. And which was, the Bulls had no business honestly getting that close. Because if you watch the game, then you would not expect the Bulls to have any sort of chance with the way that the Knicks were playing and with all of the problems that the Bulls had that were just so exposed during that game. I mean, that first quarter was ugly. Like the Bulls could not make a shot. The Knicks couldn't miss a shot. The Bulls could not get a rebound to save their life. They do what they usually do, turn the ball over a lot. Their defense was kind of atrocious, and it was just not a good quarter. And that trend basically kind of continued. Zach LaVine really wasn't like on fire. He wasn't really sparking as much until the fourth quarter, which is what helped get the game to that point where it was close, and it did come down to a few possessions. But even in those last possessions, it was just, a lot of like really stupid mistakes that could have been avoidable. There was a really bad inbounds that led to a turnover. Zach LaVine took a pretty bad shot at the end, and Coby White took a pretty bad shot at the end. I mean, it just was, it was just such a weird win because we could have had, a loss. We could have just had that game, honestly. I thought there were some situations where we could have won, but it just didn't turn out. And I think that, this was a good time to kind of see what the Bulls' flaws are because there are a lot, honestly. And as a Bulls fan, it hurts to say, but there are so many problems with this Bulls team that are just so exposed. And if they don't get changed or they don't get fixed enough, then the Bulls are not going to be winning any games like that soon. So big thing first is just defense. I mean, I don't know what it is, but the defense on this team is just so tough. And the only guys on this team who have done a decent job defending is Patrick Williams to an extent, but sometimes even he gets caught. But Thaddeus Young, to be honest, has been one of our best defenders, along with Daniel Gafford. But other than that, our starters aren't really defending that well. LaVine isn't bad, but he could do more. Lauri Markkanen was getting beat again and again by Julius Randle, and let me first say this. Credit to the Knicks, because Julius Randle had a terrific game. He had 27 points. He was 5 for 7 from 3, but if you watch that game, it looked like he couldn't miss a single shot, because that's just how dominant he was during that game. And Alfred Payton had 20. RJ Barrett had 17. I mean, they were making their shots, and the rebounding was great for them. So the Bulls defense was bad. Rebounding was atrocious this game. I mean, the amount of offensive rebounds the Knicks had, part of why this game ended up, going to the Knicks at the end, because they just couldn't box out. Like, I don't know what it is. The Bulls just couldn't box out. They couldn't get any rebounds. Mitchell Robinson was grabbing every rebound there was. And that's going to be a big problem. And I know that Wendell Carter isn't, it's because partly Wendell Carter isn't playing. He's been out for a little bit. But, I mean, if this continues, even when Wendell comes back, that's a big deal. Like, we don't have, a strong big man. And Wendell's probably our only guy who you can consider to be our big man. But if he's not going to be rebounding like this, and if we're going to continue to get beat like this on the glass, then that's a big problem. Another thing is turnovers. I mean, it wasn't as bad in this game, to be honest. They committed, I think, only 7 turnovers, which is actually not bad compared to other games where it's been really, really bad. And a lot of it is just sloppy play. The offense was just so sloppy at times. It's just one guy handling the ball or making terrible passes, terrible shots, trying to do too much. And I think now is a good time to kind of talk about, to me, the player on this team who has been really disappointing so far, and that to me is Coby White. Now, look, he had 13 points, but he did not shoot well. He was 4 for 13 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and he had, 2 turnovers, but even with the exception of that, he could not guard. He was not really making plays. He could not really defend. I mean, it was just Coby White is just in a weird position where I'm starting to think that it might be a good idea to, I don't know, man. Like if this situation continues, I just don't know what's gonna happen. I think it might be time to trade him. Maybe not now, but I think soon. I mean, if this continues, I think the experiment with him trying to be like the pure point guard, ball handler guy, and trying to make the plays, it's just not working right now. It's not what he does. It's a very different position from what he usually does. He can score. That's his biggest strength. And if you're taking that away from him, his ability to score, his ability to make shots and get baskets, and you're focusing him on being a primary ball handler and a playmaker, that's just not what Coby White does. So that's the biggest issue with him, is he's playing a role that is just not suited for him. And it's partly why he's handling the ball so much, that he gets caught up in these like weird situations on offense where he'll handle the ball, but then he'll try to do an ISO, kind of try to dribble drive or do some play, but he's just sloppy. Like I can't count how many times he'll lose the ball or he'll get it poked so easily. Like it's this, in this game it wasn't as apparent, but I think that just because it's been happening game after game after game, this game became sort of the tipping point for why that happened. But I mean, if this continues, I think Coby White's gonna have to go. I just don't see him fitting. I just don't see a role for him that fits as well on the Bulls, for at least with the way that things are going, And it's unfortunate because I really thought that he could fit this role. I was really interested to see, and I talked about it in the last video I did for the Bulls before the season started. I talked about how I was hopeful that Coby White could, adjust into this new role and, develop a pretty good playmaking style, and hopefully it would help the team, but it just hasn't happened yet. And if this continues, I don't see a path for him to stay on this team. It just won't fit for him. But it's just unfortunate because I really thought that he would do something special, but, it's unfortunate. But Lauri Markkanen didn't have a great game either, but I mean, I'm not as mad at that. Everyone, not everyone really had a great game, except for, Zach LaVine had 24 and 7 and 5, which is, he should be an all-star because he was part of what helped, not substantially, but he made, good plays here and there that helped in the fourth quarter make the game close. So LaVine did what he did, and I'm going to give him credit for that. But Thaddeus Young, to me, is part of why this team gets into close situations during games, because right now, he's our second or third best player, honestly. Like, I thought that Coby White would be one of our top guys, but with how he's been performing, I would say that LaVine, Markkanen, and Thaddeus Young are our three best players right now. Thaddeus Young is so incredible off the bench for us. He is making shots. He is defending. He tries to rebound, and he does usually. Like, he does the right things to come off the bench, and he's making the right plays. And that veteran presence is so good to have on a young team like this. So I'm super happy that he's, doing this role and he's, thriving on it, because it helps this team a lot, Thaddeus Young playing in the game, he actually makes plays for this team too. People just say, just because he's like a power forward, he makes plays on this team. He can pass the ball. He can, he can help spread the floor. He can do all that stuff. So Thaddeus Young is, he's been really good for us this year. So I hope that continues too. But our starters are just not performing at the level that I would hope for them to be, with the exception of LaVine. This was not a good win. A good loss for the Bulls. I really hope that they would be able to get 2 wins against the Knicks. It would help in terms of the seeding stuff, but yeah, this was just not a good win. A lot of the problems that it got exposed, it just needs to get fixed, man. And if this stuff doesn't happen, then I expect some stuff to happen either at the trade deadline or especially next season, because there is going to be a lot that this front office is going to have to figure out what to do. And I'm not going to say that I have trust, but I'm hopeful that this front office and that this new, with Billy Donovan and the new staff, they can figure out a way to adjust to the biggest flaws that they have and try to help with those weaknesses, because they're becoming a consistent problem again and again and again each game. So I hope that they get resolved. We need better. We need to rebound more. We need to defend more. It's just not great right now, and we need a primary ball handler. We need someone who can help spread the floor. He can help make plays. I mean, we need someone like that. We have scorer. We have Zach LaVine, who's one of the best scorers in the league right now, honestly. But I mean, we need a good point guard, and unfortunately, Coby White is just not that right now. So there's going to be a lot of questions to see what happens with the Bulls going forward, but I just wanted to talk about it because, the game just ended and the problems were becoming so much more apparent that I had to talk about it. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Hopefully the Bulls figure this out. Yeah, it was a very disappointing loss. Even though it did get close at the end, it was very disappointing to see how the Bulls played that game. I'm not happy with that, but yeah. All right, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like. And look, I'm posting this, at night, even though I posted a video like in the afternoon. So I know that me posting this video, the other video is not going to do well. So yeah, I'm going to just say that I hope you watch this video and then also watch the video that I posted earlier today. I would appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, show your support, and leave a like and all that stuff. And yeah, thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.